pressing the button. It started.
So now we are live, hopefully. And yes, we are live.
There is delay. Yeah.
So
we're live.
Hi everyone. That's our 7th episode of season 1 Postgres television. And here, Ilya, you probably know me already, and Nikolai, you know him as well, my co-host. And today we'll talk about Postgres at FOSDEM, because this weekend starts FOSDEM, probably the biggest open source related conference, which I attended at least. And today our guest is Andreas Scherbaum, and probably some other people will show up who are busy in organizing this year Postgres DevRoom at FOSDEM. Hi, Andreas.
Welcome. Thank you.
Hello. To start with, let's pretend we don't know what FOSDEM is. So I think Nikolai actually never been there. So let's explain what it is. Nikolai, do you want to know what FOSDEM is?
Yeah, I'd like to know. Like, I've heard like 8,000 people usually attended in previous years, and I also heard about famous food lines. Right.
As far as I understand, nobody can actually say how many people are at FOSDEM, because they have interesting approach to how to count attendees.
Well, you just can show up, you can go there. There's no registration required, no nothing. What they do, they count the number of devices they have in a network, and they do a rough measure how many people are in the dev rooms. But of course, many people have 2 or 3 devices, so it's not really a good measurement. But yeah, the rough estimate is between 8,000 and 11,000 people, depending on the year.
And as far as I understand, that's just hard limitation of the university campus. So much more, it would be like overcrowded to the limits of fire safety and things like this. Yeah.
Well, the rooms are limited, so if we cannot let more people in a room than the room is certified for, of course, more people can be on a campus. No one can really limit that.
Yeah, that's why FOSDEM is usually very interesting experience, because people sometimes queue up to the interesting dev rooms, like a talk before, just to try to get into, and it's interesting. So it's like a very open-minded conference, and it's almost impossible to attend everything there. You need to plan what you want to visit, etc. So Andreas, since which time actually Postgres is active at FOSDEM? I believe you actually was at least one of the person who started that.
Yes, I think it's 2004, 2005. We've been there the first time. So it's a couple more years than we actually do PostgreSQL Europe. And ever since then, except this year, we had a live presence at FOSDEM with PostgreSQL.
And what it is usually live presence, how it started, where it grew, and so on.
I mean, you go to Brussels for the bad weather and a good food. And then it so happens that we have a conference there. So we have 2 types of presence there. One thing is we have a dev room. Depending on the year, it's a smaller room or a bigger room. So some years we had a 50-person room or a 35-person room. And some other years we get a 200-people room. And every single year we overcrowd a room. So it's full to the last seat. And the second presence we have is a stand. So all the open source projects can sign up and to have a table at the presenter area. And that's where we have 1 table and present PostgreSQL there.
Usually it's 2 tables, but it's like very small 2 tables.
Oh, it's been a couple of years. We only get 1 table. In the early days, we got maybe 2, but for many, many years now, it's only 1 because too many projects actually want to have some space.
As far as I understand, the idea is if you have a commercial company, you can apply for sponsorship and booth at the expo as well. But as far as I understand, usually like open source projects have some priority and get that for free. And if you are a commercial company, you can pay for that, but it's like rather expensive and very strange at such conference.
I actually don't know how exactly FOSDEM is handling companies there. You occasionally see companies like Google there, but they present their open source activities like Google Summer of Code. Or you see Oracle there, but they present MySQL and OpenOffice. So it's not an Oracle booth, but it's actually a project booth.
If we talk about previous years, I don't remember recordings on YouTube. Maybe I missed them. But like question is like, was it recorded like previously in the last years?
Couple years were recorded, yes. FOSDEM provides the infrastructure and the cameras and everything. In the beginning, we tried to record our own dev room with a camera, but the quality was not exactly good because lighting and sound and everything. And then FOSDEM started doing it and provided infrastructure. So you plug in your laptop and you have a camera and someone has to operate a camera. And then over time it improved. So these days they have a fixed camera. You only have to point it at the speaker and you have a button to start and stop it. And afterwards you get a link and can review the video and cut it. So it's very good setup these days.
It's actually a very interesting setup because it's like pretty much everything is made on open source components and things like this. So basically, as far as I remember, it's like a wooden box with some equipment, Linux inside and things like this. And almost then you finish answering the questions after the talk, like in 5 minutes, you get a message that you need to review your talk, cut it properly if it's cut not properly, and it's basically online. So it's pretty much live.
No, the decoding takes a while, but yeah, you get a link instantly and then 2-3 hours later, depending how much workload the decoding machine has, your video is live.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
It's a decent setup. Yeah, you spent some resources on this, so it's really good.
But this year, all talks will have recordings.
Yeah, because basically already last year it was like a big question. Coronavirus was already here, and FOSDEM is a very large event. So, and very crowded university campus. It's usually like lots of quite old buildings, not very spacious. So basically it was already very interesting if somebody got coronavirus after last FOSDEM. But this year it works different. And okay, can you explain how it works? So if I'm not mistaken, there was no plan to make a traditional pre-FOSDEM PGDay, because usually it was like PGDay before and DevRoom on one of the FOSDEM days.
Yes, and we decided very early not to do a PGDay because we have to provide all the infrastructures and talks and everything. And asking around our usual visitors and asking around our volunteers and sponsors, they're not really keen in doing yet another virtual conference. It would be a different story if you can actually man up some decent folks and run a good virtual conference. But as we see with FOSDEM, it really takes a lot of effort to run a good conference here, and we don't have this manpower. Then we decided, okay, we go for a dev room for one day, as usual. Once the call for papers was closed, we actually figured out, oh, we got way more submissions than in previous years. We had about 60 or 70 submissions, I think, so we really had to make a tough choice. And then we asked FOSDEM, and FOSDEM told us, yeah, you basically have a dev room for 2 days, just schedule whatever you want. And then we asked more speakers, and we actually scheduled 2 days now.
So it would be overall 24 talks?
Let's look at it. I can share my screen. I have a schedule open.
We have 24 talks with 28 speakers.
Yes. So 28. I counted 30 somehow. Okay, 28. I counted Russian part of it. It was 10 guys.
I have our dashboard in front of me, so we have 28 speakers.
Okay. So okay, maybe some people have 2 talks, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, I would say the schedule is actually pretty impressive. So it's like I would say I would like to attend many of those talks. What do you think? What do you think? Or like a member of program committee, you're probably supposed not to be biased. But let's start with the idea. So it was a program committee, as usually a community conference has. So how program committee usually works on the open conferences, community conferences?
We have open voting. So every member of the committee votes on every talk, except if it's your own talk or if it's one of your colleagues, or you're somehow in another way are biased because you know this person too good and you're working with him or her. Otherwise, you can vote on a talk, and then we take an average of votes. And that's our starting point, because we always make a rule that we only have 1 talk per speaker. And sometimes we have 2 or 3 talks from a good speaker in a top list. So we have to rule out which one we want to have. For previous years, if you have such a situation, that would be a reserve list speaker. But this year, since we pre-record everything, we don't need to have a reserve list. And from there, we basically try to find a good schedule. So it's not always the best voted talks, because the other situation you run into is that you have 2 or 3 talks for the same topic. Like if you have replication talks and you have 3 of them, you don't want to have all 3 just because they have a high vote. Then you actually make a choice. Maybe you pick one of them, and maybe if one speaker has another talk, you ask the speaker to actually present the other talk. Or you have to say to one speaker, okay, I'm sorry, we have too many talks of the same topic. It happens.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And how many people do normally we have on the program committee? It's 3, or this year it was 5?
It depends on the size of the conference. So we aim to have an uneven number. For Postgres Conference Europe, it's usually 5 or 7 people. And for FOSDEM, it's usually 3.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think before we go through the program to discuss exact talks, because they are quite interesting, let's figure out how actually conference is organized. So basically, it is organized by Postgres Europe, and it's run by the volunteers. As far as I remember, you are actually coordinating volunteering for FOSDEM. So how it works? We actually have another volunteer joined us. Hi, Pavlo. So let's try to figure out how Andreas sees volunteering works and how actually volunteers see how it works. So what it is to be volunteer for FOSDEM?
Well, go ahead. I talked before.
Pavlo, how you end up on volunteering for FOSDEM? You're muted.
First question, do you have microphone?
Oh, I don't have external microphone. I'm using the built-in in my laptop. Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
I wanted to buy one because, you know, I'm constantly saying to you that, guys, you should use the proper technique for your videos. Right. You know, well, I was volunteering only once last year. Before that, I was just like a regular visitor, a beer drinker. We need those guys, you know. And well, what the question was, sorry?
how you end up and doing this, and what is actually being volunteering organizer of the conference? For example, imagine that somebody listened to us and wants to help or wants to try it, or what it is. What are you doing?
Well, depends. There are many duties during conference. The first one is of course working on the booth. You're standing there.
The first one is constantly arguing with ads.
Yes, of course.
So that one
over beer. Yes. Over beer.
Yeah, so the first for me is a booth, of course, because a lot of people are coming and asking a lot of questions. Some of them are technical, some of them are just like, usual, what are you doing, who are you, and
What is a database?
Yes, what is database? Why not MySQL or something like that? So usually we have some technicians at the booth, and of course we have many more people to give away some presents and sell T-shirts and
So yeah, basically, normally then FOSDEM is offline. It's a best way to get Postgres hat, cap, it's cap, Slonik, like the one Ads had in front of him, or ask Pavel what it is MySQL and why he is using MySQL. Yeah. So it's really interesting to meet the audience of the project. So as far as I remember, lots of people just go in to say thank you. Many people coming up to say, I want to talk to that guy who does this bad thing in Postgres. I don't like this. I want this thing to be improved. And many people actually basically asking technical questions. So it's like really way to talk to the community. If you are interested, it's good idea. Maybe next year FOSDEM would be offline again and come up to the booth. But this year there is a booth. So Andreas, what is the booth now? How it would work?
It's a Matrix chat room with a Jitsi video conference bridge included. And you can sign up to the Matrix server on the FOSDEM website. And using this, you can join all the different booths for all the different projects and then talk with all the people in this Matrix room, chat and open a video chat and talk with them one-to-one or in a small group. Actually, haven't seen it working live. I know that it's there, so I already managed the rooms there, but we will see how it works on Friday and Saturday and Sunday.
Friday as well?
I think there will be some test ones.
Okay. So basically, there is a link on the FOSDEM website, and after this video, we'll post all those links in our file and beneath the video. So basically, if you're interested to go to a virtual booth and blame Pavlo for using MySQL, it's the safest way to do this because, it's difficult to say that to him personally. He is a very scaring person, usually.
He's not.
Nobody risks to do this usually. So talks. It's a very interesting program. It looks like Nikolai just reading for this program. Nikolai, what do you think? Which talk is number one for you? Which one you want to attend? I actually guess you need to attend one of them definitely, but another one probably is your favorite. I can guess which one.
Yeah, let's look at the schedule once again. And actually, before doing that, I've checked YouTube, and FOSDEM has 16,000 subscribers and a lot of Postgres talks from past years published. And actually, we in this channel, Postgres TV, we have playlists like organized by topics, Postgres like backups and so on. And I found that several talks already selected from FOSDEM, and I think we will check all others to organize them better. And if you need to check playlist section to see interesting materials from previous years. In our channel, it's linked. And as for this year, I'm not sure if font is fine. Let's move it a little bit bigger. Of course, I will attend this talk. I hope I will not miss it because I will need to answer questions. So I hope everyone will attend it, and I'm ready to answer any questions related to this talk. But I'm definitely interested in several more talks like this one. This one is very interesting because I like articles published by Haki Benita. One more article published this week on Monday And this term is interesting, application DBA. It was not obvious, and I remember some people argued that this like not usual term, but I like it because sometimes like we have two roles in DBA profession. First is like infrastructure, like backups, replication, and so on, and second is more about writing code and optimizing SQL. And I like this term, application DBA. And the article was very good. I'm curious what Heike uh, can provide in real in real talk, like, and also maybe I will have some questions. So I'm definitely going to attend this or at least watch it in recording because I'm in very different time zone. By the way, these times are in CET, right? Central
it's
Europe.
Central European time.
Good. Because it's not obvious from the page, but okay. So what else? I'm definitely always interested in talks from all Russian people because I understand them much better. The English from Russian speakers, it's very clear to me. And of course, like we have, as I mentioned, 10 of them, and I'm interested in any partitioning improvements because it's a very important topic for large databases, and presented by Anastasia Lubennikova from Postgres Pro. It's interesting. Also, as I remember, Andrei, yes, also here, caveats of replication. CDC means I suppose it will be it will be touching logical replication. We know there are various caveats, and since Andrei works in very large company, Yandex Cloud, they have many clusters. Always interesting to hear their experience because
and that's actually a very interesting sort of talk about clouds, because Yandex always provides a lot of technical stuff. So basically, then you normally attend a talk from the cloud provider, it sounds slightly like we are talking from here to here, and it's like a lot of topics which are not disclosable, etc., etc. Yandex is really open source friendly in these terms, so probably it would be lots of good technical details.
Yeah, I've heard from them many times that they don't want to support forks, so it's easier to try to push patches to upstream and like get help from community as well, and it's a very good approach. Also, like I'm jumping between 2 days, and also this talk is also interesting from Percona. We had Peter Zaitsev, CEO of Percona, recently in our Russian community event, and this extension, which can be considered as a replacement for PGDay statements, is very interesting. I was very skeptical previously when I saw it first time several months ago, but after our talk with Peter, I'm very interested in this extension because, like, indeed, PGDay statements misses many important pieces of information, and this is a very good attempt to improve, right? And so I like highly recommend this talk. Should be very interesting as well.
It's
So what else?
I quickly summarize what Peter explained about this topic, which is, from my point of view, quite interesting. So of course, we tried to teach him that why you do that slightly in non-community way, because for PGStat statements, which has a long good reputation, why not to improve PGStat statements? Why not to bring all those interesting things directly there? And his idea was that they trying this approach, trying to figure out if it works. It's very difficult to bring some new stuff in that popular extension. So they will try to do that, according to Peter, and then they figure out how to bring that to the core Postgres, to PGStat statements, or to Postgres itself, or whatever. So it could be actually a very interesting talk.
Right. So like it's about development speed. If it's a separate
If you
extension.
attend this talk, ask the question about the overhead, because lots of interesting stuff. Usually, it's all about overhead, and they claim that actually overhead is not very high. So
actually, it's interesting question. What is overhead from PGDay statements as well? So like,
PGDay statements doesn't have many of those things, and sometimes there are arguments behind why this feature is not in PGDay statements. It's like it brings overhead.
PGDay monitor is much bigger. It has everything PGDay statements has, plus much more. So definitely worth looking at it. What else? I think.
Andreas, do you want to attend any talk? Because now you have much less things to do. Probably not like driving bags with t-shirts back and forth and so on. So do you attend any talk to learn something about Postgres?
Well, in other conferences, I rarely attend talks. I'm more interested in the hallway trick, but I actually picked 3 talks I want to see. First one is Postgres Web Buffets. So I really wait for the mailman to show up with my buffet delivery here. I don't think this will happen though. It's the very first talk from Letizia.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
The second one is I use enums from Boris for an unobvious reason, because I really don't like enums. I mean, I like them, but people, in my opinion, try to abuse them by just expanding them more and more. And for me, an enum is really just a static list. So if you have a static list and it's not going to change, fine, use it, but don't try to replace a lookup table with an enum just because you are lazy. And the very last talk by Federico about the very first PGDay, because that's something we all build together.
And it should be entertaining,
point of things.
This talk.
Yes.
Yeah. Good.
These are my three picks, and if I have more time, I might join in a couple other talks.
Okay,
cool.
And Pablo, are you visiting some talk? Do you have already a short list? What do you want to attend?
Yes. Well, the thing is that I'm a host of 4 of them, so I will attend them anyway. But beside that, I really excited about the Peter Eisentraut talk, the PostgreSQL development environment.
That one.
Because I always say that I'm a developer and not an administrator. So, and then the next talk about the base performance is cool. I will, of course, attend. And probably by Boris Mechas about enum types. I know about enum everything, but Boris is a cool speaker. You know, it's always a real pleasure to see him at the stage.
Yeah, I just realized that Andreas maybe already can attend talks because pre-recordings already exist, so we can start.
Actually, many volunteers do, because people who host the room should check the quality of the talk, preview it, and so on and so on.
Yeah, it's interesting question if I will be able to answer questions in chat during my own talk, because usually with online, we found last year with this whole COVID situation that it's good to have 2 speakers for live talk, because one is talking and other is collecting questions or already answering them. But in this case, we have pre-recorded videos and I could do it myself. I could answer questions.
I think many online conferences over the past year switched to have your talk pre-recorded. It might happen that you are not online, or for some reason you have internet problems, so they still have the recording and not everyone is waiting for you. So this actually makes sense. But for the speaker, it's kind of non-obvious, because you sit in front of yourself, you see yourself talking. And when you record a video, it's kind of annoying because you don't have any feedback from the audience at this point.
Right, but in chat we could have this feedback, like asking questions. Okay.
Yeah, but that's later, not when you record your talk. I mean, you're literally looking at your screen all the time, and you have no feedback at all from anyone.
I see. Okay.
And actually, many people, my experience says that as well, do quite shorter talks in this case. So basically, you plan to do a talk which is supposed to be normal 50 minutes, and sometimes you are already in like 25.
I mean, that's good because we had some Russian speakers, I won't say names here, who can easily go for 2 hours.
Yeah, and we can cut and post only the part of that.
Yeah, Ilya, what about you? What would you want attend, or maybe will attend?
Actually, there are lots of talks I want to attend. Well, waffles as well. I'm actually a person who fond of Belgian beer more than waffles, but well, it's like proper small talks. Why not to talk about food? I would agree with Paolo that Peter Eisenstadt talk about development environment could be interesting because I'm not a professional developer and I barely can programming. So I was interested in how to do things quicker because then I try to take a look on some patch in Postgres. It's usually quite painful for me because I need to check out Postgres from Git, figure out how to apply the patch, etc., etc. And as far as I know, many professional developers are actually quite good in doing things quickly. So it's because the environment already set. So I would be quite interested in this. I would say that Anastasia talk about partitioning is quite interesting. As far as I remember, it's like lots of work in progress, and it could be actually quite interesting because it's like long story and partitioning is gradually improving in Postgres, and we'll see what is going on. And when we get all those nice features, you already told about Andrei Borodin talk, and I would not repeat. I would actually say that would be quite interesting talk about Postgres architectures from Dimitri Fountain. I always appreciate how Dimitri talks about programming things, and what he will tell us about architectures. It would be interesting, I would say. And maybe besides of that, it would be interesting to attend Bruce's talk about artificial intelligence landscape and to tease him if he uses old IBM laptops to achieve artificial intelligence in Postgres. But well, it would be interesting. It's new talk from Bruce would be interesting. And so it's my top, but I would say like all the talks are quite interesting for me.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to, once the talks are published to YouTube, I'm going to download them and use it like when I'm flying. Like I need something to watch. I usually have some good Postgres talks from YouTube and watching them constantly. So if I don't attend something, I'm going to watch it later. So, okay.
But will you come to Europe next year?
Next year, I mean, even 2022, I will try it definitely. So.
Yeah, it's like we do not know if it would be actually proper conferences in Europe this year. We all hope, but it's like quite not easy to say. But hopefully next year
it's unlikely. Yeah, I mean, if you look at how the vaccine is rolled out and how many European countries botched this one up, I don't see any progress until summer, and so you cannot really plan for the rest of the year.
Yeah, we have elections in autumn, so probably they try to make vaccination fast, but currently it's like not very probable. And important part of this is like to run a large conference, you need to invite speakers. And many large companies already have like travel ban extension for this year. So basically, even if the epidemiological situation would be improved, it's quite probable that many large companies still do not allow the employees to travel. So basically,
Exactly.
I'm quite skeptical if like normal conference will take place in this year.
Right, it's sad, but maybe more videos will appear on YouTube and I will show them all. So yeah.
I know.
I mean, look at
good. They are, let's say, 50% of the population is native, as far as you know. So maybe PGDay Israel will take place, I hope. And we will allow to travel to Israel.
Yeah, I know that there are plans to do high load to organize high load in late May offline, but let's see. It already was postponed 2 times. It's still called High Load 2020, so because tickets sold for 2020 and yeah, so it's like
small time lag, like
1 year, like yeah. Okay, good.
Connection time out.
Right. So looking forward to FOSDEM, PostgreSQL DevRoom. By the way, I'm curious why it's called DevRoom.
Developer room.
Because the DevRoom started this.
It should be DBA room, maybe. Admin room, DBA room.
As far as I understand, the story behind is that it's supposed to be a room where developers of some open source project are talking to the community.
Not users, but developers, right? Like hackers.
Developers meeting actually users or something like this. But I could not be sure because like FOSDEM is very large, very old. Lots of people are involved. Nobody knows that for sure.
Look at the name of FOSDEM. Do you know what it means?
Go ahead.
Free and open source developer meeting.
So if you just
it's really a conference aimed at developers meeting there. And in many years, you have seen birds of feathers meetings for new projects and new ideas coming around. People meeting at some corners and talking about new ideas they have. People going out into the city in an evening. I mean, even in the Postgres community, you have people who don't attend a talk, but stay in a hallway and talk about new things they want to implement in Postgres. Then a couple of weeks and a couple of months later, you see a new feature in Postgres popping up, and you know exactly this happened at FOSDEM.
It's like
we also have this regular developer meeting for Postgres, which usually takes place on Thursdays before FOSDEM. But this again is cancelled for this year. So yeah, it's really a developer conference. We have many users there, but it's also a huge place for developers to talk with each other.
It's actually a rare conference where you can theoretically meet Tom Wayne. So it was,
yes,
I think a couple of times he actually started to travel to Europe from FOSDEM, I believe. After that, he showed up at Postgres Europe as well, but first one.
Tom Lane is there every year, right?
Yeah, I think
these days he lives in London.
Ah, that Tom Lane. Yeah,
that Tom Lane.
Yeah, he usually wears his blue hat with a trunk. And pretend to be not DevRoom but Tom Wayne. Yeah. you know there is a common conference party venue called Delirium Cafe, which can basically a couple of blocks around can fit entire FOSDEM for welcome reception of the conference. And you know, it's Delirium, that's a sort of the thing then you imagine that you are Tom Wayne. It's like Belgian beer helps for that. So
I think we tried to go to the welcome reception, to the FOSDEM welcome reception for the first 2 years, and every year we couldn't get in because it was already overcrowded when people arrived. So very early in the history of Postgres being at FOSDEM, we decided to do our own event. And these days you can meet us at some restaurant on Thursday evening and Friday evening and Saturday evening. And it's hard to find a place because we have so many volunteers.
Yeah, it's really difficult, but basically, I think once I tried to attend the FOSDEM event like for 15 minutes to say hello to someone, but it's basically like 100 meters before you already meet 20 people from FOSDEM, and you basically cannot go through because it's like all too overcrowded.
And it's not helpful that there's free beer.
Yeah, I don't know. It's difficult to get there. But well, it's a part of the FOSDEM as a concept. Another part is actually queues for the food. So how it works? Pavlo, do you stay hungry entire FOSDEM?
The thing is, I never tried to stay in queue to get some food because I always have some with me or at the booth. And then I need a beer and I don't need a food much if I have a beer, so it's okay. But I heard a lot of stories about people who were hungry and angry, especially from Bruce Mumgen. So yeah, it's a problem. I hope that not a problem for a virtual conference, but anyway, we should.
I mean, look at the concept, look at FOSDEM. It's a university, so you don't have fancy restaurants. You have food cars outside, and you have 10,000 people, and they all want to have some food, and ideally in 10 minutes between two talks. So if you go to the food trucks between two talks, it's easy to get some food. But if you want to go a bit around when there's a break between the talks, then there's long, long waiting lines.
Yeah, it's
for our volunteers, we actually started buying foods before, and thank you to Ilya who does this every year. We get some food to our booth in our dev room and some wings.
I need to buy volunteering food and eat it myself this year.
Yes, you should. And record a video.
Yeah, and record the video. What do you prefer I eat? I need to. Yeah, I need to collect the idea from each one, like I do normally during the FOSDEM, and then.
I mean, you know my choice. Get me some ice cream, please.
And beer.
No. But the bottle whiskey is fine.
Oh, a bottle would be too much for me. Good.
You don't have to drink it all at once.
I think I have around 20 or something like this. So I won't. Okay, so do you have any ideas or like advices what to say to people who want to attend FOSDEM this year? Because I think there are some small things like we still have limited number of seats in the dev room.
I don't know. Someone posted this, but I haven't been able to confirm it. It's more likely that there will be some technical limits to the GC servers, which streams the video, but I haven't figured out what's the actual limit.
But anyway, if there is such limit, probably organizers intend to do this because, you know, it's proper FOSDEM feeling to have overcrowded dev room.
Yeah, but then we need to place Stephen in front of the room in another queue and just yell at everyone, get away from a door.
Yeah, it's we need to provide him a mic, a powerful mic. Good.
Yes.
So that's almost it, and it's better to visit FOSDEM than to go through the talks and talk about FOSDEM. So I think we can see everyone at the booth, at the talks, and that's almost it. As usually, I suggest subscribe to the channel, go to our chat, then we doing another live streams, ask about topic you want to be covered, and well, have a good FOSDEM next weekend.
Thank you.
So it's already this weekend, so like it's in 2 days.
Yeah, this weekend.
Right. Right.
6th and 7th February.
And I promise to check all the old videos and wait for new videos published on YouTube, and I will collect everything on our playlists, again, organized by topics. So see you at FOSDEM online in a couple of days already.
I need to go and pack my car.
Oh, me too.
And stay safe and see you.
I have a flag.
Yes, you have. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah,
Andreas.
thank you for coming,
Thank you, Pavel.
Pavel and Art. And yeah, see you at FOSDEM.
Bye-bye.